So for example, with 99 degrees of freedom, if you want 95% confidence, you find the appropriate value of t. So the 95% confidence level means that 2.5% of the values, or in decimal, that is 0.025, are in each tail of the distribution. So looking in the column for a cumulative probability of 0.975 and an upper tail area of 0.025 in the row corresponding to 99 degrees of freedom, so probably the sample size here is n, the n here is 100. Okay, so the degrees of freedom is 99. It gives you a critical value for t of 1.9842. 1.9842, because t is symmetrical distribution with a mean of 0. If the upper tail value is positive 1.9842, the value for the lower tail area is negative 1.9842. So a t value of negative 1.9842 means that the probability that t is less than 1.9842 is 0.025 or 2.5%. Okay. So like this. So specifically kini mas klaro. If the n is if the n is 100, so the degrees of freedom is 99, and you have a 95% level of confidence. Therefore, ang 5% critical values divide into 2, 2.5 o 2.5. So you have 0.025. Nara. So imo ra na siyang itungod. So you can see here that the t value is 1.9842. So as easy as that in locating the t value. Okay. So note that for a 95% confidence interval, you will always have a cumulative probability of 0.975 and upper tail area of 0.025. So similarly, for a 99% confidence interval, you will have a 0.995 and 0.005. And for a 90% confidence interval, you will have a 0.95 and 0.05. So ayaw mo kalibog ana ha, ayaw mo kalibog og inyo nang dumduman. Because constantly, kung 90% mo na siya ang iyang equivalent, kung 95 or 99 mo na siya iyahang equivalent. So you have to remember those values para pod nga dili na mo magsige og kalibog, di ba? So the concept of the degrees of freedom. So in order to compute for the variance, you first need to know the sample mean. Therefore, if n minus 1 of the sample values are free to vary, this means that you have n minus 1 degrees of freedom. Okay. So, unsa din degrees of freedom? For example, if you have 5 samples, dapat kining 5 samples nimo butang na to in terms of score. Example, you have 5 samples, and then dapat ang iyahang average ani is butang nato 20. So dapat kung i-sum up nato ni sila, dapat ang 5 ka sample dapat moabot siya og 100 para kung i-divide siya og 5, ang iyahang mean is 20. Okay. Dabi. Kining 5, ang atong degrees of freedom is n minus 1. So our degrees of freedom here is 4. 4, meaning kanang 4 ka samples, they are free to vary. They have the freedom to vary. So kini siya pwede siya 10, kini siya 20, kini 22, kini butang to 19. Silang upat pwede mag-vary. But the one, ang last, ang ikalima, dili siya pwede mag-vary. Dapat iyang value is dapat mo total siya into 100. Okay? Para mo mean siya og 20. That is the concept of degrees of freedom. Unta na sundan. Nga, pila ang degrees of freedom. So, all other values are free to vary except for 1. Kaya siya ang mo balance para ma-achieve unsa to ang target. Okay, that is the concept of degrees of freedom. So, the confidence interval statement. Okay, now that we are in a situation wherein the population standard deviation is unknown. So, actually, if you can observe, it's just the same. The formula is just the same. The only difference is that instead of using the z value, we use here the t value. So the t value, alpha divided by 2. And instead of using the population standard deviation, since that is unknown, we only use the sample standard deviation. So same process that we did earlier. So you're going to use this. So in this, this is how you're going to prepare the confidence interval estimate. Wherein in this here, the t alpha divided by 2 value is the critical value corresponding to the upper tail probability of a alpha divided by 2 from the t distribution with n minus 1 degrees of freedom. Okay. So let's put that, or let's use our formula in our example. So let's have example number 1. So you define the variable of interest as the dollar amount listed on the sales invoices for the month. So your business objective is to estimate the mean dollar amount. Then you collect the data by selecting a sample of 100 sales invoices from the population of sales invoices during the month. So once you have collected the data, you organize the data in a worksheet. Then you can construct various graphs to better visualize the distribution of the dollar amounts. So to analyze the data, you compute the sample mean of the 100 sales invoices to be equal to $110.27. And the sample standard deviation is equal to $28.95. So now, for 95% confidence, determine a confidence interval. Okay, determine a confidence interval. So what you're going to do, just use the formula, manipulate it, and we come up with our answer. So our confidence interval here is this one. Okay. So if we're going to interpret this one, so with 95% confidence, we conclude that the mean amount of all sales invoices is between $104.53 and $116.01. Okay, that's how you interpret. So the 95% confidence level indicates that if you selected all possible samples of 100, 95% of the intervals developed would include the population mean somewhere within the interval. Okay, so it means that the population mean will be included in the interval 95% of the time. Okay. Let's have example number 2. So a manufacturing company produces electric insulators. So you define the variable of interest as the strength of the insulators. If the insulators break when in use, a short circuit is likely. So to test the strength of the insulators, you carry out destructive testing to determine how much force is required to break the insulators. So you measure the force by observing how many pounds are applied to the insulator before it breaks. So you collect the data by selecting 30 insulators to be used in the experiment. So you organize the data collected in a worksheet, then the next slide lists 30 values from this experiment. So to analyze the data, you need to construct a 95% confidence interval estimate for the population mean force required to break the insulator. So presented here in front, the data of the 30 samples. Okay? So you have now the 30 samples. And then if you have this 30 samples, then you can now proceed solving for the sample mean. Okay? You can now solve for the sample mean, and afterwards you can solve for the sample variance and the sample standard deviation. And you will be using those statistics, those figures, those point estimates in preparing your confidence interval estimate. Okay. So here, so it shows that the sample mean is 1,723.4. So I hope that you also calculated on your own to verify if the result is correct. And the sample standard deviation is 89.55 pounds. Okay, so to construct the confidence interval, you need to determine the critical value from the t-table using the rule of 29 degrees of freedom. 29 because our number of samples is 30. And degrees of freedom is n minus 1. So 30 minus 1, we will be using 29. So for 95% confidence, so the confidence level is 95%. So you use the column corresponding to an upper tail of 0.025 and cumulative probability of 0.975. And if you're going to check that in your t-table, you can see that the t-value is 2.0452. So I encourage you to check your t-table if these figures are correct. And you can see for yourself on how to be able to identify the t-value. And after you completed the necessary figures that are needed, then you can already use our formula in preparing a confidence interval estimate. And after doing our mathematics here, we come up with this confidence interval estimate. So how are we going to interpret that one? So we can conclude with 95% confidence that the mean breaking force required for the population of insulator is between 1,689.96 and 1,756.84 pounds. So if you can notice, we can apply the concept of confidence interval in any field, in any instances. Okay, so this is very much useful. So confidence interval estimate for the proportion. Okay, what we had earlier is the confidence interval for the mean. Another sample statistic or another point estimate that we can use in estimating the population, diba, is the proportion. Okay, wherein we use here a categorical data, and most likely it will be a yes or a no, wherein we cannot get a mean. So for variables with such characteristic, what we are dealing is the proportion. Okay, so I hope you can still remember your the concepts of proportion. So for the proportion, Actually, the calculation is closely the same. It's just that we are going to replace some of the values that we need to use. Ba? So we are going to use this this formula. So pasensya sa good mo straight. So we will be using this formula. Ayay. Pasensya. Okay. So we have here the sample proportion plus minus the z value. So again, ayaw kalimot basta if we're going to make a confidence interval for a proportion, mubalik ta using the z value. Okay? We'll be using the z value. Alpha divided by 2 times the square root of the sample proportion times 1 minus the sample proportion divided by n, or the number of samples. So this is also the way on how you are going to prepare your confidence interval estimate. So closely similar with what we have in preparing the confidence interval for the mean. Okay, ang nalahi lang dire is the symbols nga atong paggagamitan. Of course, we use the appropriate symbol, the sample proportion. Okay. So in that formula, the P there is the sample proportion. And if you can still remember, to solve for the sample proportion, we have x divided by n. Diba? Where x is the number of items having the characteristic of interest, divided by the sample size. So do not forget that one. That is your sample proportion, x divided by n. The number of items of interest divided by the sample size. We have here the pi, or that represents the population proportion. We have the z value, alpha divided by 2, the critical value from the standardized normal distribution, and n is the sample size. And you have to remember this, a guideline before we can proceed doing this stuff. So to use this equation for the confidence interval, the sample size n must be large enough to ensure that x and n minus x are greater than 5. Okay? Remember that one. It should be that x and n minus x is greater than 5. So, if your x, dili x nga katong namiya nimo ha, but if your x and n minus x is less than 5, then we cannot proceed. We cannot proceed in the derivation or the calculation, the calculation of your confidence interval estimate for the proportion. So, muna nga, before you proceed, you have to identify the x and the n minus x if it is greater than 5, or else abort the mission. So, let's have this example number 1. So, in the previous example, you defined the variable of interest as whether the invoice contains errors. Na by error, yes na error, or no, walay error. Then you collect the data from a sample of 100 sales invoice. So the result shows that 10 invoices contain errors. So with 95% confidence, determine the confidence interval. So atong ihimay-himayon, and we have to complete the needed information. So P, therefore the P, that is your sample proportion, the interest, the uh, unsa imuhang unsa tawag ato in the formula. So the value of your of interest. So ato bang value of interest is katong 9 na mistake. So here we have x divided by n. So our there are 10 invoices daw that contains error in a population of, or in a sample size of 100. So we have 10 divided by 100. Pila man na? Calculator pag yun. 10 divided by 100 para sure. So we have 0.1. So our P is 0.1. So Z value, since we are using this 95% confidence, then we have 1.96. Matik na siya. So then we have to substitute with a given. So P, di ba? Ito nang nakalculate nga 0.10. So 0.10 times 1 minus 0.10, that is 0.9, divided by n, no, 100. So after the calculation, we have here our confidence interval estimate. Adi na lang. Okay, magubot noon. Sorry. Okay, so the number of error is within the probability of 0.0412 to 0.1588. Or we can say that with 95% confidence, we can say that the number of errors is within 4.12% to 15.88%. So that's how you're going to interpret the result. So, or to make it clear, you have 95% confidence that the population proportion of all sales invoices containing errors is between 0.0412 and 0.1588. This means that between 4.12% and 15.88% of all the sales invoices contains error. So nanatay in this case sa mga invoice, na-apply gyapon nato ang confidence interval, wherein we can check what is the interval estimate, no, interval estimate of the errors. Okay, if we have this result na 4.8, that the percentage of error is between or within 4.12% to 15.88%, you, the management, will have to decide whether this error is acceptable or not. Okay, if you find it acceptable, then you can go along with the operation. But then if you find it not acceptable, then you have to retrain your employees to do the necessary measures to reduce the number of errors. Okay. So ano ka-useful ang confidence interval estimation? So let's have here example number 2. Estimating the proportion of non-conforming newspapers printed. So allow me to read this one. The operations manager at large newspaper wants to estimate the proportion of newspapers printed that have a non-conforming attribute. So using the define, collect, organize, visualize, and analyze steps, you define the variable of interest as whether the newspaper has excessive rub-off, improper page setup, missing pages, or duplicate pages. So you collect the data by selecting a random sample of 200, n is equal to 200, newspapers from all the newspapers printed during the single day. So you organize the results, which show that 35 newspaper contain some type of nonconformance. So to analyze the data, you need to construct and interpret a 90% confidence interval for the proportion of newspapers printed during the day that have the non-conforming attributes. So we have to solve first for the P. Our P, our variable of interest is kato mga non-conforming newspapers, diba? In a sample of 200, we found out that we have 35 newspapers nga wala na conform. So we have 35 divided by 200. Our P is 0.175. We have 1.75. The level of confidence, we have 90%. Our N is 200. So we can now proceed in our calculations. So here, ato na yung na-calculate si 0.175. So if you locate the 90%, 0.9 sa imong Z table, you get 1.645 or 1.64. Then you substitute this given in your formula, and then we come up with this result. So, and then we do not stop on the figures, but we have to interpret to make the result more meaningful. So we conclude with 90% confidence that the population proportion of all newspapers printed that day with nonconformities is between 0.1308 and 0.2192. This means that between 13.08% and 21.92% of the newspapers printed on that day have some type of conformance. Okay, so mas dali na to siya ma-identify using confidence interval. So that's all for the confidence interval.